Good afternoon. My name is Cara Walden, and I did my presentation on euthanasia. Euthanasia is the painless killing of a terminally ill patient with help of a physician. Euthanasia is derived from a Greek word meaning good death. So the overview of the problem, euthanasia is actually only legal in 6 states and in Washington, D.C. Each state has its own special requirements and laws. The specifications are highlighted in their individual acts. So in California, Colorado, Oregon, Vermont, Washington State, and in Washington, D.C., in order for someone to go through the process of euthanasia, it must be approved by their legislation, which means that Congress or the House has to vote on if it's ethical for that person to be involved in euthanasia. And then in Montana, it actually has to go to court and be decided on by a judge and jury if that person should be allowed to use euthanasia. So previous solutions, we have regular suicide and then refusing medical assistance. Regular suicide would come from someone like Carol Bernstein Ferry, who was mentioned in a book that I read called Death and Dying while I was doing my research. And basically she had a terminal illness where painful tumors kept growing and growing, and she knew that she was only given a certain number of months to live, so she actually took her own life while she was still functioning fully. And this visual is here to basically explain why people choose suicide. You have pain, which is here, and then coping resources. For people with terminal illness, they do have therapy and things like that, but all the mental, physical, and emotional pain to them does outweigh any resources that may be available. And then we also have refusing medical assistance. In our Constitution, we are guaranteed liberty and the pursuit of happiness, and that can include refusing medical assistance. Sometimes physicians will try to prescribe patients medicine that will either ease the pain of their terminal illness or that will prolong their life. But during those extra months or during that temporary solution to pain, they are still feeling it emotionally and mentally, and it also affects their family. So oftentimes they rather just take matters into their own hands and either commit suicide or just refuse any assistance. So next we have our proposition, and this basically just says that Congress and the Senate will get a plan that will have laws and restrictions for what is allowed to happen before, during, and after the process of euthanasia. The solution, of course, will take a few years to regulate because we're trying to put this on the national scale of the United States. So all 50 states will have euthanasia to be legal. So this will take time for people to adjust to. And here's a picture of words associated. And this basically talks about law, debate, dignity, patient-assisted suicide, slippery slope, a lot of negative connotation that comes along with euthanasia. So next we have our proposition in detail. The first step is to relabel euthanasia, and we want to make sure that we strictly call it euthanasia, no aspects of suicide included, because when suicide is included, support for euthanasia goes down 19%. And also Hitler was known for basically physician-assisted suicide, of course, on the negative scale, because these people did not consent to that. So we want to make sure that euthanasia is the word that we are using. Second step, medicine check. Make sure that medicine is easy to digest and painless, so it's easier for the patients. Doctors' consent. We want to make sure that we do not compromise doctors' positions. If they do not feel morally obligated to be a part of the process, they should not be forced to, because that's their religion and they have the right in America to follow their religion or whatever belief they may have. But if they do want to get involved, we want to make sure that they do get evaluations for their mental state and therapy if they feel affected by the process that they have to go through, and also proper training for them when a patient does ask for that, for euthanasia as an option. And the fourth step would to be confirm that a patient does have a terminal illness and to confirm that they do want to use euthanasia as a method to end their life. So we want to make sure that, first of all, the illness is definitely terminal, the patient is over the age of 18, and that the court process is easier for them. And degree of feasibility, the only other thing than just letting euthanasia be legal everywhere is having like maybe 1 or 2 hospitals in each region. But the solution for that may not work because people would rather die in a place that they're more familiar with, and they want to probably die with physicians that they are familiar with. And uprooting and moving may put a strain on families and then also the patients. And there will be a challenge because of doctor reputations and morals. Like I said before, we don't want to compromise their morals or anything. Time spent in court. We want to make sure that a patient has euthanasia as a solution before the disease progresses so much that they don't have any more functionality. And then extra funds that are going to be needed to ensure that the medicine is good for patients, and then to also help doctors with training, and then also provide more therapy and things like that for families and doctors. Next, we have call to action. So the main thing that people can do is write formal complaints or letters to senators and congressmen, explaining them the importance of euthanasia to you and to other Americans. Include emotion, but make sure you're still very professional. And here is actually a letter to Congress as written. You might want to follow the same format. Just make sure it's very professional so they can take you seriously. And then make sure you include statistics or even your personal testimony. And another way would be to look into congressmen or senators that are actually supportive of euthanasia. So when they are elected, that is something that when they go to Congress or the House and they do speaking and decide on laws and things, that they will mention euthanasia as a point, something that needs to be legal. And like I said before, just make sure you're very professional in your letters. And that's the way that we all can help. Another way to help is to just make sure you're educated on what euthanasia really is. Do as much research as you possibly can and spread the word. And also listen to other people's opinions, even if they are different than your own. And last slide is references. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. Goodbye.